The statistics and trends really are pretty grim. We know that Canada's northern landscapes are starting to look more and more like our southern ones. We also know from the UN that 300,000 people are dying every year as a direct result of climate change, and that if we don't act responsibly now, we're going to have to add another 0 onto the end of that number. And 1 in 6 people on our planet now are going to bed hungry every night. The majority are rural children and youth who not only have trouble falling asleep, they're going to have trouble working, trouble learning, trouble growing up into healthy and engaged citizens like you guys. We also know that the 50 countries that fall into the UN's less developed country list, it's going to be felt by those in those 50 countries the most. And this is a moral issue. And it should shame all of us, and particularly those who continue to bury their heads in the sand. The big story about climate change now is obviously not about the science, it's about the politics. We Northerners are a big part of the problem, and we must get our fellow citizens to insist that our decision makers help us to be part of the solution, that they actually lead. That's why we elect them again and again and again, it seems these days. And there are folks out there who are already part of the solution, folks we don't think about very much or pay enough attention to, and I'm thinking about smallholder farmers who make their living off the land and who know the lands better than any of us. They use natural local materials that give life to their soils, and they don't harm our atmosphere. And of course, another one of those grim statistics is the fact that up to 1/3 of our greenhouse gases comes from industrial agriculture, if we count transportation in the mix. These farmers preserve biological diversity at the heart of sustainable life on this planet. It's a diversity that's critical to climate change adaptation. They also feed the majority of people on this planet, and we don't always think about that. Did you realize that 85% of the food that's produced comes from closed circuit markets? That means it's not traded internationally. Only 6% of rice actually is traded internationally. So they're food producers, a good number of them who are women and youth, who know that there are ways to grow food that don't require silver bullet technologies, but rather the innovation and skill of people who work with the land and not against it. Most of these farmers have, like you, joined large movements that insist on a more sane and just ecological path forward. They're actually proving that low-carbon agriculture cools the planet. This has to be an intergenerational campaign. It has to be one that where our leaders listen to the leaders of tomorrow. And if they won't, then you tell them to take back the torch. Don't let them hand it on to you. Tell them that you want one that helps you, that will help you build a healthier and a happier future for this planet. And tell them, please, that there are solutions right in front of their eyes. If they'd only take off their Western blinders, that they should and could be remembered for being great leaders. Thank you.